Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We are For Those with Good Taste. This is Beyond the Banks, Episode 1, titled
The Pilot.
And we're going to jump right into things here. Just like the show, we're going to kick things off with a fast start. It starts off immediately with introducing us to the core group of characters, the 4 teenagers that are going to lead us on this excursion.
I like the way that you put that because that's exactly what it is. They're getting into a little bit of mischief, and they kick it off the right way with a little bit of introduction, and John B. doing his best impression of Morgan Freeman, kind of setting the tempo for us.
Yeah, so as they're running away from this like overweight, overaged security guard,
After breaking into a housing complex.
John B. does his Morgan Freeman thing, and he walks us through, the characters, but also a little bit of the lore, a little bit of the background of the Banks. And what we find out is, so these are his best friends. We have John B., like we said, kind of the leader of the group. We have JJ, his best friend, who's like the definition of what we'll come to find out a Pogue is. Yeah. We have Pope, who's the brains of the operation, the son of also like maybe the most connected man we know so far.
The hustler of the island.
Yeah, in the Banks. And Kiara, who's a girl on the wrong side of the tracks here. She's actually more of a kook. Her parents are rich. They own the restaurant that all the tourists go to on the island, but she slums it a lot of the time with the Pogues here.
And now you're throwing some terms out there, Len. So we've got the Pogues and the kooks, and there's a huge divide on this island, right?
Yeah, Matt, why don't you tell them a little bit?
What we come to know the Outer Banks to be is it's divided between the Figure 8, which is the home of the kooks, all the rich people, all the people who have boats, yachts, several homes. And then you got the Pogues, the people who are slumming it out, working class. And there's a lot of respite here, right? These people don't like each other. And it kind of sets the mood for what eventually comes to tell the kind of the story that we're talking about.
Yeah, and to get a better sense of kind of the feeling on the Banks about these guys, we're actually going to kick it to our guy. He's on location right now. We have our correspondent in the field. Just checking, Constance Wu Williams, are you available? Are you there?
You better be.
Thanks for the handoff, Lenny. Constance? I'm pretty sure that's a female name. Thanks for the new nickname, by the way.
Sure thing, Constance. It's good to hear from you. I was just I wanted to get a feeling, like, how do you feel so far about our main 4 here? Are they movers? Are they shakers? What are you kind of thinking?
Running through the list, we got a 4-man squad. I'm sorry, it's a little sexist. There's a woman there. We got John B. He's the leader of the group, as you said. He's kind of got his back against the wall. Things aren't going so great for him. He's got some things to figure out. Curious to see what happens with him. Then we got JJ, who's been his boy since I think he said the 3rd grade. Really don't understand why they're friends. JJ's kind of a douchebag. And then Kiara, Smoke, love her. Don't really know what to think. She's supposedly the rich girl, kind of kicking it with the guys on the slum side of things, and they don't really seem to know why. They all seem to have a crush on her, though, which is interesting. And then we got my man, Pope. Black man of the squad. Seems to be having a group of white friends getting him into trouble. I don't really know what to think of that. Now they're over here searching lost ships and stuff, and we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah, so they're out here hanging out for the day, right? And we find out one very important piece of information here, Matt. And the very last thing he mentions in the voiceover is that unfortunately, John B.'s dad has been missing and actually declared dead, but he refuses to accept that.
Yeah, it almost seems like he knows something that we don't.
Right. So he's been living on his own, but the man is kind of trying to change that right now.
Oh, man. Every man is trying to change that. This poor guy can't catch a break.
Yeah, the school's coming after him. The police are going to be checking in on him. But before that can happen, there's actually a hurricane that's about to hit the shores.
Yeah, he gets saved by the good Lord baby Jesus there because right before they can come in and do the actual assessment, this dude gets saved by a hurricane, and that kind of kicks everything into gear for us.
Yeah, Constance, I did have a quick question for you. Being that you're down there, when the hurricanes are coming, what is the kind of the feeling change down there? Do you feel it in the air? Is it the winds? What's your first thoughts? Do you go out and surfboard during this?
Absolutely not. I'm gonna keep my black ass inside. I don't know if any of those shacks had a basement, but I'll be looking for some cover.
Perfect. So John B, on the other hand, he saw a rogue boat out in the ocean while he was surfing during a storm because rocket power did it. So why shouldn't he?
No, these guys are nuts. They were like, "Oh, terrible weather, amazing waves. I'm going out there, man." And I'm pretty sure John B witnesses a man completely capsize his boat.
Yeah, it was totally radical, brother. Though
It was gnarly.
Sick. Fucking sick,
Super.
brother. So in the aftermath of this catastrophic, awful hurricane, we are brought to the home of the Kooks. We're in the figure eight. Is that what they called it?
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So we're at the figure eight now. That's where the Kooks reside, and we're at the home of the King Kook, the Camerons. We have Ward Cameron. We have the wife that I can't remember the name of. We have the youngest Rose Cameron.
Gotcha.
We have the daughter Wheezy, which awesome name, right?
There's no Wi-Fi, Dad. It's hilarious.
And the last one is Sarah. Who, Matt? What did you think? Before we kick it over to Constance, I want to hear his thoughts too. Matt, what did you think of our first introduction to Sarah? Because you kind of know a lot more, obviously, since we've both watched the show about her. What do you think of this initial introduction?
Honestly, man, I forgot how great this initial introduction is. I mean, you kind of tilt your head at it, but I know Sarah Cameron to be this lovely young lady, regardless of what you think. And I think she is just trying to do her best to make sure that these poor, terrible little, what were they? I think they were rabbits.
I think it was mice.
Oh, mice. Oh, gee, that actually makes it worse. No, she's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
They don't get eaten by birds.
Constance, what do you think on this one?
I mean, I'm a man. My first and foremost thought was she's hot. But the whole swatting seagulls or birds away from the mice, not really sure what to think. I think she's like a tree hugger or something, but definitely a little nuts.
He went hard ER on the tree hugger.
Mm-hmm. And not a surprise here, men are still misogynistic. So Ward is with a lady who is looking for her husband.
Scooter.
Yeah, his name's Scooter. We don't know that. I don't know at this point. Did they drop his name Scooter at that point?
Yeah.
Wow.
Ward said Scooter knows how to handle himself in a storm.
I personally, though, found him to be a little, like Sarah to be a little weird for the first introduction, because I just don't remember her being like that as the show progresses. But
I might have been blinded by the looks a little bit.
But it was, yeah, she was a little odd. She was a little, like, it almost seemed a little immature for what I think she kind of is as we progress.
No, but to an extent, if we're trying to set the tempo that she's this innocent girl, it kind of fits the bill.
Yeah. So while all this is going on, the gang has actually decided that, like, post-hurricane is the best time to apparently go fishing. Makes sense to me. But it's more so an
how you
excuse
catch
for
crabs.
them to just go hang out, right?
Yeah.
To go have a few beers, drive through the marshes and the swamps, and just kind of chill.
Ooh, what'd you think of Pope just completely ditching his dad?
Hilarious.
I could not hold it in, man, because they're just like, get in the boat. Get in the boat. And he's just
His
like,
little
"Guys,
run and jump,
guys,
too."
He's gonna kill me. He's literally standing right behind him, and JJ's like, your dad's gay.
I think my
doing?
favorite thing about Pope is not so much the stuff he says at this point of the show, especially in the first episode. It's just the way he maneuvers. Like the way he throws when they're throwing rocks, the way he jumps into the boat, the way he runs to jump into the boat. Like everything
all
about
great.
him, he jumps off the boat into the water. It looks funny. Like I just think all of his mannerisms are hilarious.
No, his reactions to everything are great, and I mean, it really it gets even better when they're driving this boat at full speed, and they hit a sandbank.
What they think to be a sandbank, yeah. So JJ's at the front of the boat doing his best, like Captain Morgan meets Titanic pose, right? He's like leg up on the edge of the boat, and he just gets launched. And I imagine, Matt, the feeling initially was probably so fun, but he like eats it hard in the water.
He follows up with, "I saved the beer." There's no way.
Yeah, it's zero. Although, dude, do you remember Field Day? That you'd put the water on the like thing, and you would do centrifugal force.
I'm not gonna have you throwing science at me, dude. He got launched from that boat. There's no way that beer bottle stayed intact.
There's always science, Matt. But it wasn't a
right.
sand dune. It was not a sand dune here. It was actually a sunken ship.
No, they hit a sand dune. The sunken ship just happened to be
There?
a little bit
You think
further
that's what it
down.
is?
Yeah, dude. So they had to use gear to actually go down there. There's no
Okay.
way they crashed into it.
That's fair, but they could see it from the shore. I don't know, man. I thought like maybe the bottom of the boat caught
No,
it.
they hit the sandbank, dude.
All right. No, okay, that's
Yeah.
cool. That's cool. It's
Yeah.
just like a happy accident.
Yeah, they hit the sandbank. I mean, there's no way they hit the boat because, again, they have to dive down just to uncover it. So what we come to realize is these guys are some real go-getters, right? They're all about going to get the money. And as soon as they see this sunken ship that John B. had seen actually go down during the storm, they're like, oh, we got to go swim down there. And I think it's John B. and JJ really the only ones who have the lung capacity to do it.
To get in there, yeah.
Yeah, they go down there, and John B. comes up with a key.
So they come back up, and then John B goes back down. But remember, he holds on to the
he goes anchor. Oh, dude.
which is like super smart, like high key smart,
Very
right?
badass.
So he finds a key. He does not, however, find dead bodies.
No, which is what everybody wanted him to find. You
Yeah.
find any dead bodies?
That they know of, though, because you pan away from the boat, and it's actually
A floater.
there's a dead body in the water. Yeah.
And that's kind of when the show takes a turn. You're like, oh, what's going on here?
Yeah,
There's
so-
some real nefarious things happening.
We start to kind of like move into the meat of stuff here, so to speak. Yeah. So the gang has to obviously gets curious, and they're like, let's go follow where this key brings us. And it brings us to a motel. Not a hotel nor a Holiday Inn. It was a motel.
You're saying Chingy wasn't filming his rap album over there?
Sure thing,
Okay.
sir. Really quick, Constance, I did want to kick it over to you really quick. What's kind of the motel scene like down there? Are you staying in one now? And if so, like, do you want to give them any positive feedback, or is it a negative experience? And did you have any other options?
So I had to go where the story takes me, and I don't think the studio had a huge budget. I was actually 2 rooms down. Not a great motel at all.
It looks tough.
Yeah, no, wasn't a great experience. But honestly, man, I knew there were some sketchy characters in there, and I think I got that validation when we find out what happens next.
So, you know what I really liked about this scene, Matt? It wasn't so much when they go into the hotel, it's the walk to the hotel. Like, I thought the chemistry immediately there between JJ and John B, Constance at some point had referenced like not really trusting JJ, but I think you see this conversation here, and it's like, dude, like, to me, like they come off immediately as best friends. Like, not like, I think that we've said this in our intro episode, Matt, and I still feel this way. I think that the 4 of these people's chemistry on and off camera has always shown through, and this was one of the first moments for me.
And no more so when you see Key kind of show real concern for John B. And she's like, be careful. And they just have this little moment, this little dynamic where even JJ is like, dude, what the hell's going on?
Yeah.
You guys kicking down doors or what? And John B's is not about it. You want to know why, man? No pogue on pogue macking. Can't do it.
It is one of the first rules we've gotten.
Yeah, it's like no
And it's
Fight
like
Club.
that's a very big rule.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm going to throw it over to Constance really quickly. How do you feel about the no pogue on pogue macking?
I mean, bros before hoes it's all been said before, but ultimately, we think with a different head. That was actually the second time, by the way, that she told him to be careful, and this time with a kiss. And you can see JJ getting a little jealous, and this is really where I started to feel like I don't really trust this guy. Why isn't he happy for his boy,
Quite the perspective. So we get into the hotel room here, and there's a safe, because every hotel room has a safe, but this safe is closed and it's locked.
Yeah.
So they're searching high and low for a password, and while they're doing that, outside, Pope and Kiara observe the 5-0, the Popo.
Yeah, I mean, the dynamic shifts really quickly because now the cops are on the scene. These guys are no closer to finding anything. The only thing that they found thus far, and great detective skills here on John B's part, is that this guy's definitely over 50 because he's wearing New Balances.
Another attention to detail I appreciated, Matt, was when Kiara and Pope see the cops there, immediately it's like, well, why don't you call them? And they're like, all the towers are down.
Towers are down due to this
There's no way to
damn
call.
hurricane.
So this leads to them having to try and to warn John B and JJ that the police are approaching. So we have Pope try to throw rocks at the window, and
Is
boy,
that what he did?
yeah, I don't even know if throw is what you would call it, because it dude, this thing died a death. It went straight up in the air and then just crashed.
Props to whoever was working the camera, because they made it seem like that rock was going to go far, and it did not, sir. Not at all.
And Kiara did not do much better. She was giving him a hard time, but like hers were not much better.
Her job, though, dude.
Yeah.
She's yelling at
Why?
him like,
Because she's a woman, Matt?
didn't you ever play baseball? No, I was on the math team.
He's a mathlete.
Dude, he's a mathlete.
Yeah.
I get it, though. Pope's cool.
I mean, most parents would probably prefer their kids are mathletes, right?
I mean, mathletes aren't really bringing in millions of dollars, but I like where your head's at.
So while they're throwing the rocks, John B. and JJ manage to get into the safe, and in the safe, like anybody would assume you'd find, is a boatload of cash and a gun.
Peace.
Yeah.
And of course, JJ grabs the piece and is immediately putting it in his mouth.
Yeah.
Not so much, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah. No, he was just all over the place. He did what like. He gave me anxiety because he's like pointing the gun at his friend. I'm like, this is how like every bad story fucking goes, dude.
What happened to John B? Yeah, he got shot in the hotel. Sorry
Yeah,
about that.
Whoops.
He
didn't make it out.
But wouldn't you know, timing be damned, dude. They freaking find the money. They find the gun. They're like, oh, we're about to get rich, baby. No.
Yeah, they get a quick warning.
Freaking cops.
While they find the gun, while they find the money, they slide out of there real quick out onto the little eave on outside the window. And get out just in time, like as any show would let you do, right?
Yo, how'd you feel about that?
I mean, it's a trope that has to be done.
I was like, this is the first opportunity you have to show me that there's some reality here. And the cop looks out the window, looks on an angle, sees freaking Key and Pope hanging out on the boat, and doesn't think, oh, maybe I should look outside this window.
Well,
Poor copsmanship there.
Matt, you know, one of the things I've always appreciated about Outer Banks is that it doesn't try to pretend that it's logical or makes sense. It is like an insane show from start to finish, and this is just like the beginning instances, right?
No, that cop only wanted the money.
One of the most interesting parts I thought, though, was, the cop leaves, they take a little bit of money for themselves, and they leave with all the contents from the safe, but Pope says they leave like it's a crime scene. To me, they left with a duffel bag full of money, kept some for themselves, and that looks more like they were criminals, Pope. Like, where was that? What kind of crime scene doesn't have tape? Call in more cops or anything? No, they left with a duffel bag full of money. That is a crime scene.
Yeah, that's an astute observation, Len. And I'm immediately concerned with how these cops are handling things. And, we've had the opportunity to watch the show, like you said, so we know where this is heading. But I'm interested to see, Constance, how are you feeling about the cops in the Outer Banks? You think we can trust them?
Hell no. Definitely a dirty cop. Immediately tries to get his partner there to get on the take. And I don't know, man. He's definitely going to be in on some stuff later, I feel like, when they get into their little hunt.
So after we escape free here, on the way back to the docks, we learn that they found the dead body. The dead body of Skeeter.
Scooter?
Skeeter is now what we know of him is he was a dirtbag marina rat, and he shouldn't have been able to afford the boat that he had.
How does a rat like that get a Grady White?
Yeah, Constance, have you talked to any of the people on the banks? Were they able to kind of tell you anything about how he might have been able to afford this boat?
Well, man, I've been asking around. Nobody has a clue. They say he's out in front of the grocery store asking for change and stuff. He's got these ratty shoes. He lives in the slums. He shouldn't be able to afford that boat. He's definitely mixed up in some stuff.
Prostitution, sir.
You think it's prostitution?
No, but Pope certainly does. He's the smartest person there, but he's also the most illogical.
So the guys, the gang, the ladies, and the guys decide like any responsible teenagers would be to do is like, hey, we have this money, we have a gun, and there's some time to kill, so we should throw a kegger.
Yeah, I love how they were like, we need to go incognito.
Yeah, take the heat off.
Let's throw a rager. Mm-hmm. Get everybody involved. And, man, is this where the tide starts to shift a little bit in this episode?
I think this is like where Constance's thoughts on JJ might have some credence.
Oh, I don't like that. If he's already
so
right.
we get a little bit more context to the banks because at this party you had the Kooks and you had the Pogues, but you also had the Tories, I think is what they call them.
Yeah, people coming over on vacation and they're leaving their parents to go get shit-faced at the Rager.
And what they're called, John B calls them is chum for the sharks, right?
Yeah, again, very misogynistic, dude. It's just like pieces of meat just flying all around you, but that's kind of what Ragers are for.
Important part here, though, as we're being introduced to the group, we also meet Topper. Topper is going to be kind of a foil for our main lead here, John B., because he is the boyfriend of Sarah Cameron.
And at this point, he's kind of like the main guy for the Kooks. Like, he's dating the princess of the Kooks. And, dude, they start throwing some fisticuffs. And again, this is actually JJ's fault. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not losing my mind here. Causes a fight, and John B. ends up almost getting drowned like his father, according to Topper.
There was one really important thing I wanted to point out, Matt, that I think I definitely noticed that would have probably meant nothing to a first-time watcher, I think, here. We quickly flash to the cops. I don't know his name, but the older cop who was offering the money to the other person in the hotel room. And they're looking at the Royal Merchant. And they don't tell us anything about this. They just say it's the Royal Merchant, right? And it's the first time that the Royal Merchant is mentioned in the show. And I just thought it would be important to kind of point out a little foreshadowing there. That's going to be important.
Deputy Shoop.
Yes. So to your point, Matt, this kind of brings us back to the beach, and we're probably drunk at this point. It's teenagers at a kegger, and the hormones are fucking running. Masculinity is at like an all-time fucking high here, and John B gets into a fight with Topper. And he's like screaming at him in the water, like, "Come on, Topper! Come on!"
Dude, you don't make fun of my dad be getting drowned, dude.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a low fucking blow.
And you're kind of banging the chick I want to bang.
John B can't fight. That's going to be a reoccurring thing here. John B cannot fight.
He got handled.
He was getting fucked up a little
or
bit.
is
He
Topper
threw him
just
down.
that good?
I'm going to lean more on the side of John B not being great.
Nah, you're tipping, dude. I
Yeah,
like that.
I'm tipping. He got tipped the fuck over into the water, and then he was getting drowned face first down there. Couldn't breathe at all.
Yeah, I don't like that. And we're getting to the main point of, what ultimately ends up being the climactic point of the story. JJ pulls the gun that they found.
Well, he pulls that thing out. Yeah,
when they're
he's
supposed to be incognito.
No, I hear what you're saying, Matt, and this is a question for Constance.
That
Constance,
thing on you?
if you were beefing with your
set?
Here's the thing: if you were beefing with a dude and you were losing, would you want your homie to run up and put that thing on the dude's neck?
What's that on his piece?
Oh. Honestly, man, yeah, maybe I want somebody to bail me out of it. Not necessarily with a gun, though. That just brings a lot of unwanted attention, especially if I got beef with DCF,
Wow.
I feel you.
That's a great point.
So yeah, maybe this wasn't the best resolution to the situation, but it did get it handled. And then for good measure, JJ, he desk pops. Does what any of us would do. Because, like, if I had a gun, I wouldn't shoot it at people, but I would certainly shoot it into the air. And that's what he did.
What's the perfect number of shots for a desk pop?
Oh, he went pop, pop, bang, bang. Like, yeah,
Bang, bang.
sent it right into the air, and told everybody to get the fuck out of here. So we go to the next morning. It kind of fade in, fade out, and we wake up the next morning with John B with a black eye, with a cool cop lady standing over him. She's doing kind of a wellness check because she heard about some things happening down the beach, and she heard that DCF is going to be swinging on by, and he might be having to leave the premises if they can't verify adults are there.
This woman comes in playing hardball, bro.
Yeah.
She's ready to drop the hammer on him.
Matt, I equated her to, it was kind of like when you throw a party at your house and you think you're like scot-free. You clean your house, but you clean your house too much to where your mom's able to like point out all the things that she knows was dirty before she left and puts
You've
it all
never
together.
cleaned this before
like,
in your life.
This lady knew every single detail possible. She's like, so I heard about a party and a gun and people getting into a fight. And then I also heard about a boat being sunk and that like you wouldn't have happened to have been by there. And then there was a hotel, like, and she like plots out everything that happened yesterday, but also gives away probably way too much details to a teenager.
Well, that's where like you're kind of wondering if he could have called her bluff at all. Mm-hmm. But she was laying it on him like she knew everything.
Yeah.
And just wanted to make sure that he wasn't going to be a problem.
Yeah, and the biggest takeaway from this for me is definitely that she offered him a deal. If he stays out of the marsh going forward, she will stay out of his way and make sure that DCF doesn't kick him out of the house. Pretty good deal.
Is it though, man?
I think it's probably a good deal, but do you think he took it?
Well, no, dude, because he wanted to take it. And then his right-hand man, JJ, who's clearly the logically sound of the two, lets him know, bro, we're about this life. Pope's about to get out of here on a scholarship. Kiara's just fucking around with us for fun. Her dad's going to pull her out of here soon. We got to go get this money, bro.
Constance, if given the option, do you think that you would have stayed out of the marsh to keep your dope house as like a 17-year-old where you have no like overseers or responsibilities? Or would you risk all of that to get sent to like a foster home just to go search like some sunken treasure with your boys and gal?
Man, I get the whole appeal of like stay home, keep your situation, play it safe, but it's a treasure hunt. We already proved it. We found a bunch of hundreds bundled in a safe. I do want to find out more. I'm out there.
You are right. Curiosity does always kill the cat. So
Cat's got 9 lives, baby.
JJ Matt convinces John B to go steal from his boss. His boss, Matt, he just so happens to be Ward Cameron.
Oh, shit.
Crazy little coincidence there.
Yeah, dude, and JJ's genius plan is we need to get some gear so that we can go deep dive on this boat.
Yes.
Go steal it from your boss. And I'm going to tell you what, man, John B, not a good detective, not a good secret agent either, dude.
Oh, he's a terrible thief. A couple important things happen here. So, first of all, he steals the tanks of which have no air in them.
Almost no air.
Yeah, like he's stupid. And he also runs into Sarah Cameron. And to say the sexual tension is palpable would be an understatement.
Yeah, I would say that the tension could be cut with a butter knife at this point.
Perfect. So he gets out of there, though. He gets out of there with the diving equipment, and they make their way out to the marsh. And John Bees has already broken his promise to this police officer. A couple important things are happening all at the same time here, though. They're on their way out to the marshes while a search party is being organized by the police department.
Yeah, they shut down the marsh so that they can keep tabs on who was going in and helping out.
One person's bringing natty lights. Get
Make sure
down
to
how
stay
you get down.
hydrated and bring your liquids. Does that include natty ice?
Drink whatever swill you like. So another group, though, approaches. The cops have started to set up this search party when these two skeezy-ass dudes walk
in a
up.
speedboat from Cuba. Like, where the hell did you get this boat,
yeah,
dude?
yeah, and the cop is like, this motherfucker's dirty because, like, no thought process whatsoever. It was just like, nah, we're good.
But the friend of my friend is my enemy.
And these guys certainly seem like the enemy. So we're back now with John B. and the gang, and they're deciding who's going to be the one to dive down to the boat.
Yeah, because this idiot John B. getting distracted by Sarah Cameron didn't fill up the tank, so we've got an empty tank and a tank with 25% oxygen.
I can't say I blame him at all, of course, Matt.
100%.
But yeah, he is the one chosen because he was the one, like, he didn't fill the tanks, he didn't weigh anything, didn't think about this
I
stuff.
love how all of them were like, so who's been diving before? And Pope's like, I read about it. Bitch, we're not sending you, dude.
Yeah, I don't even know if he can really swim.
You're
If
going
we're
to
being
end up
completely
dead.
honest.
But he's able to give John B. the breakdown, and John B. executes with, like, pretty flawlessly, man.
So yeah, we swim down to the boat. I guess it's deep enough that if he was to come up, he would get the bends. I thought that was like a funny little wrinkle to add in, which I just don't believe is true. Like, I don't think they were diving deep enough into the marshes in South Carolina to need that. But sure.
You're not a scientist, dude.
No,
We've established
nor are
that.
they, of course. So while they're down there, though, like immediately they get down there. Around the corner comes the fucking popo, dude. They're just always
pigs,
showing
dude.
up at the worst time possible. So John B's down there, not a lot of air. He finds what he has to find, like a big old duffel bag with some stuff, with something in it, right?
He knew exactly where to look. It was great.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it wasn't a huge boat. So
No,
they're-
he works on boats. He knew exactly where to look, dude.
he's on the way up, and he realizes this fucking nosy
Second
cop
boat.
is here again. So he has to stay under, and he's watching the time tick and tick and tick. I thought there was a decent amount of tension that kind of built up here, Matt.
I was getting anxiety, man.
Yeah, I could tell. I could feel
I
that
just think
coming
one
off
of the
you.
worst ways to go is by drowning, dude. Especially when you're sitting there like, oh, I could go up, but then it's gonna foil our plans.
So this probably proves to be no surprise to anybody, but they leave just in time for John B to make it back up.
I don't know what you're talking about, dude. It was
Yeah.
barely
Yeah, like he was down there forever.
a bit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
a few
at
minutes.
least. Yeah.
But he comes back up. He's fine. They're worried he might have died down there, but of course he comes up like a brief second later, gasps for air, and he's good. They pull him back up. They're looking. They're getting ready to look inside the treasure that they found, and wouldn't you know it, the skeezy ass dudes.
From Cuba.
Yes.
No, I'm just kidding. I don't think they're Cuban. But that boat is definitely Cuban.
The Cuban friends of our friends that are our enemies have arrived, and without even like hesitation, they just start shooting at teenagers.
Bro, the most old school sniper rifle I've ever
Yeah.
seen in my life.
Like an
He's
old
hunting
school
deer.
like a boat off arises.
Yeah.
So like they're in a race through the marshes. Only thing that would have made this better is if they were on wind boats. Like I just imagine when there's swamps like that you should always have like a big fan
That's what you
on
thought
the
was
back
better?
of your boat.
No, dude. If they needed to hit a ramp like Italian job style.
That would have been sick too,
Yeah.
actually. So the part that I thought was really funny outside of the fact that these guys just like with no hesitation, like I said,
Shoot.
like they didn't even know if they had the treasure. They just started shooting at teenagers.
Oh, you're running?
Yeah.
We're the cops.
We have to kill you.
We're gonna kill you.
But Kiara, like quick thinker, just throws a fishing net to stop them.
Yeah, again, props to her, but Pope being the brains of the operation should have had this one figured out, dude. But he
Yes.
wasn't trying to take a bullet.
Yes. But they're able to escape, and we kind of end things off with a bit of a cliffhanger here. We find out what John B. Did I miss something?
No, I just want to preface before you make this statement because this leads to John B. before they head out to the marsh is giving a narration where he says he has a dream where he's saving his dad.
Oh, I did. So I did miss this in my notes, Matt. And this is
Okay.
a very good
I didn't want to
point.
miss
Yeah,
this.
you did. So John B., while he's under there in the water, like I believe he's about to like run out of air, he kind of like swims to his dad in the. Was this
I don't know how it's placed. I don't know if it was a dream
earlier
or
and I missed it, but
think-
yeah, it was. He was
whatever
in
it
the
is.
water. He was about to like pass out at some point, and he basically swims to his dad in the water. And his dad he remembers what his
a
dad
big
tells
reveal.
him before he was going to leave. That basically foreshadows the fact that he's not dead.
Like he basically told his son, like, I'm gonna go missing for a while because I'm going to look for something that's gonna put us in danger.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna be lost for a little bit. So the idea that when people tell John B that your dad is dead and lost at sea, that doesn't fit with him because he knows that that was actually according to plan.
Yes.
And this is where it all kind of leads to the big reveal. You open this black duffel bag, you get this national treasure like tube where you're opening up something, and everybody is pissed off at the fact that it's a compass. Everybody except for John B.
Who just says, "This was my dad's," and end scene.
Oh man. You want to talk about tension?
I really enjoyed this one. Before we get out of here, I would like to hear one last time on location from our correspondent, Constance Wu Williams III. We're gonna I'd like you just to wrap it up for us here. First of all, how are you feeling one episode into the show? What'd you like? How are you enjoying yourself so far? And what are some of the things you think are going to be happening going forward?
And Connie, leave no stone unturned. We want to hear it all.
Get real freaking naughty with it.
So I mean, first impressions of the show, man. Honestly, going through it, I didn't really know what to expect. Mostly, there were some ups, there were some downs. I don't want to say I wasn't intrigued, but I wasn't fully wrapped into it really until the end. We started to get some answers, and I'm real curious to see what happens in the next episode. I think we're gonna find out a little bit more about those thugs that were popping off at the teenagers. Our dirty cop. I want to know more about the ship that he seems to have some clues about. Also, man, again, told you I don't trust JJ, and I think he showed some colors here. Real curious to see what happens with him moving forward, but I think he's gonna try and pull some shady moves, man.
Interesting. Well, I guess we'll see where that kind of plays out going forward, and we're going to check back on some of these predictions and hold you accountable to them. Matt, any final thoughts on episode 1, the pilot of Outer Banks, before we wrap things here?
I think the page is set for this show to just continue to take off. And this episode really does a good job of letting you know that things are going to hit the fan very quickly. You've got to be ready for it. So I hope Connie's ready on site. We're going to have to dock him down a little bit as far as his hotel stay. It's costing a bit.
Yeah,
but we won't
place
tell
is-
him about that until
That place
episode
is too
2.
nice. His stage and/or table are set to have a great time in the next hotel he stays in, though.
Absolutely.
So until next week, though, this was Beyond the Banks. We are Furthers with Good Taste. Big shout out to Connie. She was great on location. Until next time, though, guys, it's been real. Leave a like, comment, share. If we missed anything that you thought was super important, leave that in the comments down below. And just let us know if you're watching with us. Like I said, though, until next time, we're out. Peace.
Later, guys.
For those with good taste.